So we begin our Monday night session on Doves for Peace. This channel was set up especially for the children of Gaia, the children of the world, that they unite in peace and in love. And although we may not reference peace and love, the fact that we, the presenters who give of our time freely, we offer that time to the Supreme. Yes, for peace and for unity. For those who don't know me, I'm Brother Sean, and I'm a member of the Teo community of Interfaith Franciscans, hence the fancy dress. So my contribution this evening is about the healing tree, the healer's tree. When I was on retreat in Scotland recently, and how time passes, I was very privileged to visit Iona, one of the little islands of the island of Mull, where St. Columba founded a Celtic monastery in the year 438. And he came from Northern Ireland via Wales and up through these parts and established a priory not far from here, only across the bay with St. Patrick, and then they walked all the way to Iona. And in the bookshop, the monastery bookshop, there was a beautiful little book, and it drew me because I have such a love for trees and working with the healing energy of trees. And this is the book, The Healer's Tree. Because part of our work and our training as Interfaith Franciscans, we work with the Tree of Life. It's a practical course in spirituality, but the emphasis is on the Tree of Life. The 7 roots and the 7 branches that connect us with Gaia and with the Supreme. And the symbol you've probably noticed around my neck, if I take it off, you'll have a better look. The symbol is known as the Teo symbol. It's a piece of wood. It was the peace symbol given to Francis. But it also represents something of greater importance. It represents you with your arms outstretched in the shape of a T. And it has biblical reference in the Old Testament Bible. So let us read a little bit from this amazing book. But before we begin, if you have a candle handy, it would be wonderful if you could light your candle, and we will offer the light for peace, for global peace, and for interspiritual unity within the whole family of God, that all faiths will be empowered by their religious leaders to encourage their members embrace all faiths. So let us just call on the Father, Mother, God Supreme, who creates life, in the name of the risen cosmic Christ who loves life, in the name of the Spirit who is the fire of life, in the name of Gaia, our beloved Earth Mother, who nurtures the divine in all life, and in the name of all faith traditions, who are the sons and daughters of the Supreme, the one true loving God, for they are our brothers and our sisters. And we begin with the introduction, and it's called The Singing Time. Arise, my love, my fair one, and come away. The time of singing has come. And that's taken from the Song of Songs in the Old Testament Bible. It says here, the Song of Songs describes a lover standing at the latticed window of a house, calling their beloved to come outside and share the delights of the beautiful garden. It is a love poem, a form that mystics throughout the ages have used to speak of the soul's relationship with God. That call, "Arise, my love, my fair one," is addressed to each one of us, and the singing time of which the poem speaks is now. The Song of Song continues. The voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land. The fig tree puts forth its figs, and the vines are in blossom. That special song is the natural chorus of creation, life itself, in which we have our own part. It is the definitive love song that enlivens us as we grow in the womb that sits on the tip of our tongue throughout our lives, and serenades us as we pass through the veil of death. It is a song that never ends, but like someone who has fallen asleep, we sometimes need waking to it, because we easily forget that we belong not only to God, but also to the earth and to the whole matrix of life. This living song is the narrative of the great human adventure mapped out in the Bible. Like Adam and Eve, we begin as loved creatures, full of God's goodness. We fall, we suffer, we strive, but God is still with us in our wandering and defeats death itself to bring us back into the divine embrace, restored to the all-in-all. When we hear the call, respond, and step out of our enclosures and from behind our walls into the garden, even for a second, life looks different. Motives change, inner healing begins. Acts of love spring up from us like rings of toadstools on an autumn lawn. We are new creations. But crucially, opening to God is a path to joy and peace, not just for ourselves, but for all the earth. In God, we can no longer act only for ourselves and our own salvation. Self loses its power and the illusion of isolation ends. For all creation is interconnected. The kingdom of God is built on selflessness, not selfishness. It is not just we who are renewed, all creation depends on our return for its renewal. It is this deep healing that the earth cries out for today, and our hearts too. It is as though the destruction of the earth mirrors our inner desolation, which arises from the separation we feel from that glorious primal garden. Restoration of right relationship with God means restoration also of relationship with God's creation. We can no longer see ourselves in isolation. We have some work to do to bring that about, both in the outer world and in the inner world of our hearts. But what we seek, Jesus says, we will find, and when we knock, doors will be opened. The title, The Healer's Tree, describing the cross of the cosmic Christ, is a term found in an ancient poem, The Dream of the Rood, part of which is still preserved in Anglo-Saxon ruins on a stone cross in Rothwell, now in Dumfriesshire, Scotland. The poem describes how a tree became the cross, supporting Jesus in his heroic self-giving. Being so strongly identified with his passion, after his resurrection the tree cross also shares his joy and becomes like a living bridge or gateway for people to come to Christ's healing love. You can read more about this in Reflection 4 of the book. The term also suggests to me a connection between Christ's healing work and the trees, those vital sentinels of life and origin of the air we breathe, reminding us how deeply interconnected is all life on earth. The healer's tree is a gift of grace, a tree above all others, which makes possible the journey of estranged humanity back to the garden of God's peace. Isn't that beautifully put? This then is a kind of guidebook for a circular walk through the scriptures in response to the call back to the garden, back to full relationship with God and all creation. It reflects on the struggle to make sense of ourselves as mortals who are drawn by spiritual aspirations and a desire for God. Isn't that beautiful? Wow. But are also bound to the earth and one another with a need to find real faith-based responses to the ecological and humanitarian dilemmas facing the world. The concerns which motivated me to write The Healer's Tree naturally interconnect in the reflections that follow. But in short, I believe that a living faith in a loving Creator God today cannot be divorced from concerns for the earth and all with whom we share the planet. We increasingly realize the consequences of our actions in terms of human and ecological impact, and the meaning of love, your neighbour as yourself, demands that we widen our scope. In the world there are many voices of diverse cultures and faiths who would agree with this and with whom we can form true relationships to work for healing and regreening. There are also those who prefer to spread mistrust and to justify destructive and exploitative behaviors through citing the very same scriptures in which others find words of healing. To these, we need to know what to say. As we deepen our relationship with others who care about creation and make clear our standpoint to the wider world, we need resources which help us to have confidence in our own reading and love of our Christian scriptures. This will also help us as we engage with those who are disillusioned with Christianity and have instead sought earth-centered spiritualities that focuses more on ecological concerns. The criticisms they often make of the Church are criticisms we need to hear and address as we think again about developing a meaningful and relevant faith to carry into the world of the 21st century. The author says, I hope the healer's tree can be such a resource. And there's a note here on the biblical translation from the author. For my own part, I have avoided use of a pronoun, whether he or she, to refer to God, because God is neither male nor female, but is both at the same time. Weary of hearing only he for so long, my mischievous side is inclined to use she throughout. But I have resisted the temptation. God is God. When quoting the Bible, though I have chosen to use the NRSV, in which I cannot escape the use of he for God, please note, however, that Yahweh is translated as Lord in the Bible itself, but we have used lowercase for ease of reading, which means something like I am, a statement of existence, not gender. Please note also that there is significant scriptural justification for speaking of God in the feminine. For example, Deuteronomy 32, verse 18. You were unmindful of the rock that bore you. You forgot the God who gave you birth. Wow, there's so much beauty here. But here we have a reflection, or the title is Reflections. And then we've got a heading that says Forms of Reflections. And he says each reflection includes a biblical quotation, a passage of prose, a prayer, questions for reflection, often relating to further biblical passages, and a closing thought. Some reflections, such as the tamarisk tree, are suitable for use as visualizations, an exercise where one person reads while others imagine the scene described in a state of relaxation, or where a person alone imagines the scene after reading it several times. I guess I prefer the former, don't you? They are not written with the expectation that everybody will wish to use them in this way. Let us pause for a moment and just ask ourselves, what is our understanding of the healing energy of trees? Well, I know in my work as a therapist and one who has been commissioned by God as a conduit of his love for others, I have to share this in truth, that not far from here we have two amazing trees. They're tall, they must be 45 to 50 feet tall. And I have led so many clients and students on various courses that I've been running over the years to come and work with these two majestic trees. And as you make your way through the woodland, there's a slight incline, and there you see an array of trees of great beauty, but there are two that are together, and they allow you stand in the center with your arms outstretched like so, and you can touch each tree. And we use those two powerful healing trees when we come to do the release of karmic vows, invoking the Lord Christ. I've lost track of how many times I've stood there myself when I've been downhearted, discouraged, and even despairing. When I've been at the other end of uncharitable comments. But what can I say about these two majestic trees? Well, for a start, within each tree there is a tree diva, a powerful spirit energy. And she receives her love through Gaia, Mother Earth. And when you come to the tree, you don't just suddenly run up to it and hug it. You must show reverence. And I guess that's why our beloved Earth Mother, the nature spirits and tree divas are apprehensive of mankind. Because if you look at our legacy today, it's not good, is it? We have pillaged the Earth's resources. We've desecrated the Earth. Look at the recycling, the mountains of refuse in the refill land sites. Look at the deforestation of the Amazon, the lungs of the universe. Look at the carbon emissions from all the flights that are invading space. Look at all the traffic on the roads in comparison to 10, 15 years ago. Most households today have a minimum of 2 cars, some up to 5. That's if they've got 3 young adults and 2 adults. We are destroying this beautiful planet, some through willful ignorance and others through neglect and others through stupidity. But you know, the earth was here long before you and I were. The earth is a gift from the Creator God for us to enjoy the abundance of God. And we have overstepped the mark. And we are guilty of heinous crimes to our beautiful planet Earth and the animal kingdom, where animals are needlessly ill-treated by mankind. I watched an advert today when we were having lunch before the news at 1 o'clock. There was an advert for a little donkey that had been used by its owners somewhere in Europe, and its feet were growing out because its nails hadn't been trimmed, and it was barely walking and limping, and it had been like that for a number of years. So its whole body was contorted. Well, the donkey sanctuary in the United Kingdom adopted this donkey and other donkeys like it who were neglected at the point of death, and brought them here to the UK and gave them love. So instead of being in the open fields or in a dirty shed that was damp, where there was no proper food or water, suddenly they're in a barn that's got at least 2 foot of hay, soft bedding. They've had their hooves trimmed, they've had their teeth done, they have a regular brushing, they have lots of love. That's all the animal kingdom asks of us. To care for them, to feed them, and when it's their time, to let them go to be put asleep. Is that really what's happening today in the universe? No, it's not. And that's why I'm so proud to be a member of the Teo community of Interfaith Franciscans, because all our members are passionate about the animal kingdom, because we don't just see them as animals. They're messengers of God in disguise. They are angels in disguise. Why do I say that? Because they bring love, unconditional love. I can't say that about humankind. And if I had to choose whether to have a friend, a close friend from an animal, friendship from an animal or a human, Don't be shocked. I would prefer an animal, because they have no hidden agenda to control you. They do not hurt you the same. Yes, their passing hurts you and leaves you bereft. But many humans today have become so self-centered, seekers of self. The new God on the block for them is the me, the self. Their neighbor doesn't come into it. And it's sad. So coming back to the earth kingdom, and especially the healing energy of trees, let me explain to you, when we invited a client or some of our delegates on our retreat days here at the monastery, I would take them to the tree. We'd have a little prayer from the heart. We'd ask permission of the Diva in the presence of Gaia, and then we'd wait, and suddenly something happened. It came into the heart, and you were guided to proceed and stand with your hands touching each tree, yin, yang, male, female. And then you would recite your vows for your karmic releasing of outdated vows in the presence of the cosmic Christ. And not only would you feel the peace of the landscape, but a surge of energy up through your feet. And from either hand, you would experience the most beautiful love flowing through every part of you. It was a powerful moment. And when the ceremony had finished, you were invited to hug the tree, and there allow the tree Diva embrace you. Some were there for ages and ages. But when they came back and they bowed reverently to the spirit of the tree, which was beautiful, they couldn't stand up. They were shaking. It's as if they'd had a shot of IV heroin. And we had to lie them down on the ground to balance them. And each of the delegates all had the same thing to say. They have never experienced such a profound experience of being in the presence of a nature spirit of love. And it left them with a greater appreciation of the nature spirit and the need to become an ecologist. In other words, to educate mankind to respect the earth, to take responsibility for our contribution of negative ions and energies that we give off every day. If you take, for example, just say an ordinary family, if it's a dysfunctional family and there's a lot of arguing, a lot of negativity and deep woundedness and hurt and pain, where does that all go? Into the ethers. And naturally there's a build-up, isn't there? And that will account for why mankind has become so restless, searching. But those of us who have found that inner peace of God, many of us are drawn back to the woodland. Many of us choose to live away from cities in a more rural area because the energies are softer and powerful. I couldn't live anywhere where there was no trees, because for me the trees, in the gentle breeze, they wave positive energy towards you, but they also absorb all the harmful free radicals and carbon emissions. They are the lungs of the universe. They have an important part to play for the survival of man and the planet. So we have a lot to learn from our trees. Let us just conclude, if I may, with just a reflection for the soul, a heart to heart. Let us come back to our heart. Let us dim some of these lights. That's better. And let us just allow ourselves be still. We've come to a woodland. Imagine you've come into the countryside for a day out, and you say to your partner or friend, "Oh look, that looks nice over there. Let's pull in the car into the lane by our parking slot." You get out of the car and you can see a sign, "Free pathway through the woods," and you take that. But first, as you come to the gate, you're aware of a presence at the gate. It is one of the nature spirits standing on guard, keeping out anyone intent on doing harm, and only welcoming in those who have a blessing. And you ask permission, "May I enter and share my love with creation?" And suddenly the gate opens and you're allowed to go through, and you walk through the woodland, and on the woodland floor there are strewn pure white angel feathers, an invitation from the angelic realm to come and explore and embrace the powerful healing energies of the landscape. And you come to a clearing, and there you see these magnificent trees, and they're drawing you. Something is telling you not to proceed any further with your walking, but to just go and rest your weary shoulders and back against this magnificent oak tree. And its branches come over you like an umbrella, shading you from the bright sun. And as you stand there, you feel the love, you sense the peace and the joy of the spirits of the natural world, who are friends of God. And as you stand there, you are being enveloped in love, enveloped in peace, and right up through your feet, you're experiencing the healing touch of Gaia. And now the healing energies from the tree spirits are flowing through your mind, your body and spirit, and they leave you in a place of absolute bliss. And as you breathe in, you are breathing in the love and the fragrance from this natural woodland. And in your out-breath, you are releasing to them your fear, your sadness, all your troubles, all that aches you and ails you. And with every in-breath that you make or take, you are receiving unconditional love. Now go with the rhythm of your breathing and relax, because you are safe now. All is well. In the cathedral of nature, the cathedral of God. And you are totally at peace here. There is no fear, only love. now you find yourself dozing off. And as you lie down, you are being caressed by the animals. There's the most beautiful parrots on the branches. There's Toby and Cheeky. There's Lily and Evelyn. And there's the budgerigars as well. And all around us there's beautiful little bunny rabbits. And you can see cats and dogs at play with the young deer. Oh, there's a parade of animals all around this beautiful place. And they're all brushing gently against you to say, we love you. We thank you for your gift to us. We thank you for caring for all animals. This is our gift to you. Continue to do good work. Raise awareness with mankind to stop their brutality towards the earth, the landscape and the animal kingdom. And now you can hear voices. And you're familiar with these voices. They are your friends. They've been looking for you. And you come out of the dream totally refreshed, totally relaxed. And your friends are looking at these trees and thinking, wow, these are specimens. And you look at them and you wink, a nod of affection, and say thank you. And one of your friends heard you and they said, what was that you said? I was saying thank you for the beauty of this tree, but for the beauty of all trees. For they are our survival kit. They are the lungs of the universe, and we must protect them. And her friend said, what a wise statement. I must share that with my friends on Facebook. So they meander down the forest paths. They come through the gate. The friends were totally oblivious to the spirit at the gate, but you noticed the spirit and you smiled and you said thank you for allowing me be a part of this. Relax now. Relax and be at peace. All is well. And we now bring our lighted candle as we conclude my contribution and say, the blessing of heaven, the blessings of earth, the blessings of sea and sky and all the trees of the Creator's landscape, be on all those whom we love this day and on every human family, the gifts of heaven, the gifts of earth, the gifts of sea and sky, the gifts of brother sun and sister moon, be in our hearts now and forevermore. Amen. And that, my dear friends, is my contribution, and I thank you for joining me. And remember, when you go through the woodland, remember to ask permission to enter. And once you do that, you will be amazed at the gifts from the Cathedral of God. Namaste. Thank you.